Hey, real quick, Tuesday, September 9th, my very first book, Godly Ambition, is available everywhere. If you are struggling with discovering your purpose, knowing how to walk in the fullness of God's call for your life, get this book immediately. And if you pre-order it right now, we got some awesome incentives for you, specifically the first 4 chapters in ebook, an exclusive podcast with me and Jonathan Pokluda, my guy who did it forward to the book, as well as 25% off to the blessgod.shop. Get it and go to mygodlyambition.com to redeem your pre-order offer. All right, let's jump into the video. Shout out to JHB98. He said, what if you want to be a pastor, but also want to make enough money to give your family a good life? How can you balance that? Man, what a great question. So for starters, let me just say this. You're asking the right questions. You have a heart for ministry. You want to be a pastor, but you also want to make enough money to give your family a good life. That is an amazing, amazing, amazing question. And asking the questions that are like this, I think actually gets you closer to getting the result. Just thinking about these sorts of things. Like, I want to go into ministry, but also want to make enough to provide for my family. Great question. So one, I think you have to be called to ministry. Ministry is not a career path. If you think you're going into ministry because ministry is the best way to make money and provide for your family, I would say you have a rude awakening. Ministry is not a career path. Ministry is a call. When you're called to do something, that means there are ebbs and flows and there are seasons where you're going to struggle and suffer. So like a startup is similar. Like if you feel called to a startup, you feel called to the mission field, you feel called to be a part of something, there are going to be ebbs and flows in that. That means there's not always going to be perfect work-life balance. That means there's not always going to be perfect boundaries and turning your phone off when you, right? That's the cons of doing something that is volatile, like going into ministry. So I think foundationally, like I just want everybody who's like thinking about it, like you just got to count the cost. Like if you're like, I want to go into ministry, I want to go work for a startup, I want to go work for a small business, I want to go start a nonprofit, I want to go be a missionary. Okay, so we got to count the cost. Jesus says you got to count the cost. So that's already, people don't want to think like that. That's uncomfortable. That's unfortunate. That's difficult. Okay, so now the next layer is you need to be able to have useful skills that are valuable in the marketplace. Useful skills that are deemed valuable in the marketplace. And you then got to take an inventory of those skills. The hard part is, man, that means you might have to learn some things that you don't know yet. Learning can be hard for you. The pro of that is like YouTube University, online education, books, all that sort of like this. It's the first 20 is a book about how it could take you 20 hours to learn the first you can learn almost any skill at a competent level by spending 20 hours of deliberate focus, not 10,000 hours to be an expert, 20 hours of deliberate focus. That's a huge net positive. So one, I would say there's that. There's the reality that, man, you can develop more useful skills that are deemed more valuable. Some of you guys have skills and you think they're valuable, but they may not be deemed valuable in the marketplace, right? They may not be deemed valuable in the marketplace. So when you are going to be a pastor, I would hope that you know other things that you can do on the side, because there's nothing wrong with being bivocational. If your church can't pay you a livable wage in the city you feel called to, that may mean that you got to have a side gig, have a side job, have a side hustle, have a side career. One of my close friends pastors a mega church now. People always give folks crap for pastoring a mega church, pastors a mega church. They don't know that he's been independently wealthy 3 or 4 times in. He's been a millionaire for the past 5 years because he started saving when he was 18, 19, because he had a sales job. He worked a sales job while he was in ministry. He's done Airbnbs where he's owned multiple homes. He's had equity from those homes. He's not even 40 yet, and I don't mean like a millionaire in an abstract sense. I mean like there is $1 million sitting in his retirement. $1 million.
You guys are talking about net?
I'm not talking about a net worth. I'm talking about $1 million sitting in his retirement.
That is
okay.
Awesome, and he's not close to retirement.
And he's not even 40 yet.
That thing's gonna be nasty by the time.
So he knew that, hey man, ministry is a path it's not gonna pay me well, it's a call. So he developed useful skills that the market deemed valuable, not you. You might deem playing video games valuable. Okay, that's valuable if you got the personality, the work ethic, the grind, it's tech savviness to be the next Kaizenat. But if you ain't got all those other things, just playing video games may not be a valuable skill set. I'm using a hyperbolic example. I understand that not everybody wants to be a video game player, but I'm saying there are things like that. So what are skills that you need to develop to make sure that you are deemed valuable in the marketplace? And can you transfer those skills? Can you transfer those skills to your ministry role to be a bigger asset in the ministry context to potentially help that scale and work a side job? That's what's on the horizon for you. Or you go in the marketplace and you do ministry from the marketplace where there's not a cap on your income. Biggest church around here, North Coast Vista, we sat down with Pastor Chris Brown, $29 million budget, cap of their executive team, $150K a year.
Southern California.
Southern California. 150. I don't even know if you could buy a home in Southern California at $150K a year if you're fully debt free and you're saving and you're living very. I think that's almost impossible. So what do? You got to have something on the side, or you take the same skill sets, you take the same heart for Jesus, and maybe you go build a business that ministers in the marketplace. You build a product, you write a book, you solve a problem. That's another idea. So I love the question. And hopefully I think I gave him an answer. I think here's a free resource. You know I got my book, Godly Ambition, coming out, but here's a free resource. Those of you guys are like, you just try to sell us stuff. No, I'm trying to sell you stuff that'll change your life. But you know what? I'm going to give you something free to change your life. The Vision Road to Impact worksheet. Discovering your calling, that sweet spot of your calling, is going to be an overlap of your mission. Where do my gifts overlap with the world needs? Your vocation. What do you get paid to do? What can you get paid to do? And your passion, right? What do I love doing? And this is a great way to walk through and take inventory. Write down all of the things that you're good at. How can you scale those skills? Write down all the things that you love doing, things that you're passionate about. The word passion, the second definition of it, we talked about it yesterday in the Oxford Dictionary. The second definition for the word passion is suffering. What are things you're willing to suffer for? What can you get paid to do? What are you already getting paid to do? And what does the world need? What does the world need that keeps you up at night? If you could figure out that, you could figure out what your calling is. But you got to walk through this process. You got to sit down. You got to think. You got to pray. You got to ask your friends. You got to be sober with yourself. Stuff is hard. It's hard. It's not easy, right? Simple, but not easy. And if you could do those things, I think you'll be much further along in trying to find that balance. Someone said, can you bring your friend on who's the independently wealthy pastor of a megachurch? No, because a lot of y'all are mad toxic about money.
Yeah.
Because if I bring on a pastor that's already highly successful, too many of you guys are going to be like, big is bad. Big is bad. Big church bad. Bad. Big bad. And then he tells you, yeah, I got $1 million in my savings account. And I have $500,000 in my house. I still make six figures at my sales job as a consultant.
Oh my goodness.
And all of that allows me to take a modest salary at my church and not have to take an executive salary.
Reinvest.
Right? If I bring someone on, like so many of you will melt down. You will melt down, and I don't think it's worth for me to drive all that heat towards him and all the hate towards him and all the hate towards his church, because so many of us are toxic with money. So no, I don't think, respectfully, I love you guys. I don't think our community is mature enough to have that conversation. I don't think we're mature enough. I think I think when we start being mature about things like money, and that money is the exchange of value, and if you start early enough and you're disciplined enough and you're valuable enough, generally speaking, I'm not talking about, God forbid, there's a tragedy in your life or a sickness in your life, or like, I'm not talking about that. I understand. But generally speaking, if you start early and you're wise and you're disciplined, you live God's ways, you live below your budget, generally speaking, man, if you're in America, you're able-bodied, sound mind, a lot of good things could happen, considering tragedy doesn't account. We read Proverbs, but we got to read Proverbs in the context of Job, right? And we also got to read Proverbs in the context of Ecclesiastes, and that, hey, without God, it's all meaningless anyway. So no, I don't think our community here is mature enough to have that conversation. I think there's that. And let me say this. By mature enough, I mean the love that a conversation like that would get in the comments section. Those of you guys that would love that conversation wouldn't be loud enough in the comment section to outweigh the perverted, distorted people that have a warped view of money. And I'm not going to put my friend in a situation to catch heat because they're not an influencer. They're just a pastor, to catch heat and to get torched in my comment section, because you guys just don't turn up. Like when we talk about this stuff, y'all just don't turn up. Y'all don't show the love in the comment section. Respectfully, you guys will like the video, and you guys maybe will share the video, but you guys don't like. So we talk about money, and it's just gonna be like, bleh. Jesus said, "Don't store away treasure on earth." Why does he have like? It's gonna be a bunch of that. Why doesn't he give it all away? Right?
Yeah.
So we're just not mature enough to have that conversation. Not because you guys aren't mature enough, because we don't have enough energy to offset the poison in the comments. And I'm not going to put my brother out there like that. But if you guys are smart, you know who I'm talking about. And he knows if he watches it. He knows what I'm talking about. If you're smart, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you liked it, then hit the like button. If you liked it a lot and have a thought to share, leave a comment. If you are listening to this on the podcast app, make sure to leave a review. And you could even leave a comment over there. And if you want to watch another video that is recommended just for you, hit this video over here. Let me know if they nailed it. Also, you can partner with us monthly, which helps us out a lot in our monthly community. Get access to early drops and all that kind of good stuff over here. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.